So thank you everyone for joining me today. It's another Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. And yes, I'm Michael Smith, the National Consumer Education Manager of Janome Canada. And yes, I'm back at the Janome Sewing and Learning Center for another fabulous Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. And what machine will it be? Well, we have lots to share, as always. And in fact, I want to touch on a machine that I presented last week first. That we'll discuss that a little bit. And then we'll go on to the machine today. So yes, lots in store. So let's flip this around without revealing too much. There, our beautiful artwork that Tanya produced, again, when we've been doing Magical Machine Mystery Tour for several months now, because there are so many fabulous Janome machines. Oh, Gord Madeline, perfect timing. Yeah, so what will we be talking about today for our Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour? Well, as I reveal, now if you were with me last week, either live or if you've reviewed on the IGTV icon of Janome HQ Instagram page, or this is also now a video on the Janome HQ YouTube channel. Now, a heads up, if you review these presentations on YouTube, the image will be tall and skinny because Instagram here does not let me rotate the camera. So it is tall and skinny on Instagram, which is fine when we're watching on our phone or our iPad. But when we watch it on YouTube, then yes, it's going to be tall and skinny because it's Instagram, which does not allow me to rotate the camera. I get a lot of requests saying, would you please return the camera? And I'm sorry, it's an Instagram thing. I don't know why Facebook lets us do it, but Instagram doesn't. So again, if you're watching on YouTube, again, it's a tall and skinny screen, but hopefully you can still get a lot of the same information. So last week, I presented this beautiful 1522 PG anniversary machine here, celebrating Janome's 100th year. Is that a front load bobbin? Yes, it is actually, Patty. So you can again go back to IGTV to watch that presentation, or again, Janome HQ YouTube channel. It comes with this cute little sachet with some bonus goodies in here. Now, mainly why I wanted to talk about this machine though last week, as a heads up, just towards the end of my presentation, I was trying to adjust the stitch selection here is a dial that you turn. It's a fully mechanical machine, no electronics other than the on-off switch and the light bulb. So when I was turning this dial here, just as a heads up, during my presentation, I did not click this dial. I was turning it to I, trying to get this beautiful decorative stitch there. This satin stitch is I. So I like doing all these little test samples here, and I write down my width and my length. So I was adjusting the machine during my presentation and adjusted the width and the length, and I couldn't understand why couldn't I get that stitch. I did it in my practice sample, what was going on. Well, because I often sew at an angle when I'm here presenting for you. The camera is dead on, but I'm at the side. So what I did actually, it looked like I had fully selected the I up here at this dot, but then when I went back to review the presentation, when I watched it later, I realized I didn't have that eye fully engaged over to that little notch there. So the eye was kind of like that, which is why I couldn't make that stitch. So when you are adjusting your mechanical machine, make sure that you turn that dial all the way over and you hear that click in place. And because, again, I was rushing towards my presentation, and you know, when I'm doing live, there's a certain amount of pressure, so I had neglected to do that. So that was the mistake I made. Again, it can happen to everybody. So that's why I love to share all of that with you, so you avoid those mistakes. So if you wonder why I've adjusted my machine, but I can't get the stitch it's supposed to be, it's because maybe that dial isn't fully engaged. And then yes, on the top of the machine up here, you'll see your stitch chart up there. So it'll guide you on how to adjust your machine. Oh, fabulous. Miriam is here and Grandma Craw. Excellent. So yes, that was the machine that we talked about last week, the beautiful 1522 PG, which stands for pink gold. So today's Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour, look at that beautiful box. Isn't that gorgeous? Celebrating Janome's 100th year. Can you believe that? So the machine today is the fabulous 793 PG serger. It is a 3/4 thread serger, so you can seam with it as well as, finish the edges of garments. You could do rolled hems on it. You can do lots of fun things with a serger. And isn't it beautiful? Look at this. What a beautiful pair. There is our gorgeous 1522 PG pink gold anniversary machine. And then, now you can get a beautiful 793 PG serger to match. So who doesn't love their sewing room to coordinate? Now, as you'll see in the box there, it says bonuses included. Well, yes. So in addition to this gorgeous serger, that you get this big, they call it a chip box, which is great to collect all your scraps, because the cool thing about a serger is there is actually 2 knife blades. One is exposed, and then one is along the bed here. But the knife blade will allow you to seam and finish the raw edge of your fabric and trim it off. All the little wispies and everything you can trim off, and it will collect in this bonus chip catcher. Is that easy to thread? Oh, well, yes, I personally feel so. And I will show you about the threading as well, that yes, indeed, it is quite easy. Like everything else, practice. Also included, this fabulous, I love this, bonus extension table. Isn't this cool? And it's got adjustable legs here. So depending on your surface, you can adjust it. So this increases the space for your project. So isn't that wonderful? So these 2 bonuses are included with your beautiful 793 PG machine. Now, also included, I'm so impressed with Janome. One reason why I fell in love with them 30 years ago, the very first sewing machine I ever bought, 30 years ago this year, was Janome. And yes, why I fell in love, they're so thorough. So instruction manual, very important. And especially when we talk about threading, there are full instructions on exactly how to thread it all. Good detailed instructions. So I encourage everybody, regardless of what machine you have, sit down, take it out of the box. Now, the bonus, it already comes threaded in the box, so you can get started right away. But then as you learn to thread it yourself, again, you've got the instruction manual as a guide. So sit with the instruction manual and learn how to adjust the machine. Now, the manual also comes in French and in Spanish, so isn't that cool? So many people can use it. But also included with, because of the bonuses, like there's even instruction sheets about your little chip catcher here, and instruction sheets about the extension table. So again, like Janome thinks of everything. So there really is so little guesswork. Now, for more information about the machine, though, you can also go to our Janome.ca site, and our marketing guru, Alan, put this together, the sales sheet here, so you can find out a little more about the machine and what it'll do. For example, it's 1,300 stitches per minute, so that's nice and fast, certainly faster than most of our domestic sewing machines. Our Continental M7, for example, is 1,300 stitches. The fastest Janome machine we have is the 1600P, which is 1600 stitches per minute. So that's like super, super fast. So sergers in general go about twice as fast as a regular sewing machine. So you can get this, again, features page on the Janome.ca website. But yes, let's go through the machine and see how easy it is to operate. If you were wondering, okay, why do I need a serger? Or you're wondering, thinking maybe I'd like to explore, then this is perfect. You know, great kind of beginner serger that you can still do a lot with it, but not overly complicated, not overly expensive, you know, so that's great. We'll start up here in this beautiful telescoping thread stand for all of our high-speed sewing, you know, just like the serger started in the garment industry. And then, of course, we domestic sewers said, hey, we want those too. So we've got this big telescoping thread stand here with the beautiful, again, pink gold accents. So I think, how cute is that? So very easy to thread here. Now there is this little hole up here as well. I've currently got my thread through like the notch, but there's a little hole up here in the mast, and I often get questions of what's that little hole for. So if your thread is, you know, really bouncing around, if you're using like a metallic thread, for example, or really fine thread, you can basically use a wide variety of threads in your serger. If the thread's kind of bouncing around here at such a high speed, you could just thread it through that thread guide guide up here, so it's going to stop it from jumping out of that groove. So that's why that little hole's there. And again, your manual explains all of this. So as we're coming down here to the thread guides, you'll notice each of these thread guides here along the metal are a different color. So the thread that comes on your machine already threaded is, again, these white cones of Serger thread just to get you started. But as you switch the colors out, switch out to your own thread, it's great if you actually change the colors. They don't have to correspond with these little dots here. But as you're learning your serger, it's really helpful if you switch the color, so then you can better identify and how to adjust your lay-in tension knobs here, again in that beautiful pink gold. So for example, this is our lower looper. Regardless of what serger you have, what brand you have, this is always the lower looper position. This is always the upper looper position. This is your right needle and your left needle. So it is a 4-thread, and currently I have some beautiful Madeira arrow lock thread that you can get from your Janome dealer. I love this. This is good quality serger thread, very low lint, which is one reason why I love it. Comes in a myriad of colors. So this Madeira arrow lock I really love using, but again, you can use a wide variety of thread. But yes, as we're threading, then it's great if you had maybe a different color in your lower looper and upper looper, for example, to further help identify them. The loopers basically replace the bobbin that's in your domestic sewing machine. The loopers actually go around the fabric. So here, for example, is our 4-thread serger. So here is our left needle, and there is our right needle, the straight line of stitching. This thread going across is the upper looper, and then as I turn this over here, you'll see this is the lower looper thread here, and then they intersect right along. You'll see it right there. Like, how perfect is that? So they interlock right there, so that's how it prevents any raveling of your fabric. So again, such a time saver. Can you live without a serger? Can you construct garments without a serger? Yes, of course. But I always say, if you're making a cake, for example, yes, you could mix up your batter with like a fork or a whisk, but isn't it faster and easier? Don't you get better results? No lumps in that cake batter when you're using a mixer, for an electric mixer, for example. So think of the serger as your electric mixer. It's a perfect addition to your sewing room. It's not going to replace your regular sewing machine. It's going to add to it. So it's really fabulous. Oh, lovely. Oh, and Eva's here. Oh, thank you for joining. So yes, let's tour again because time is racing. Tour as our machine, we have the stitch length dial and the differential feed dial. Now, differential feed is basically like the built-in walking foot that we're used to in our domestic sewing machine. The serger has it built in where the bottom layer of fabric and the top layer of fabric can feed at a different rate. So especially if you're a garment sewer and you like to sew with knit fabric and you've avoiding it on your domestic sewing machine because that knit is going to stretch out of shape, the serger is for you. This is really, I'm not sure which came first, the serger or the knit fabrics, because they go hand in hand together. Now, of course, you can use other fabric than knits. It doesn't have to be knits. But again, if you're really sewing a lot of knit fabrics, then the serger is a given. It's absolutely fabulous. Then we've got our big balance wheel or the flywheel here. So yes, when we talk about threading, let's open this looper cover up. And here, so we've got full instructions in the manual, but then yes, we've got a color-coded diagram here showing exactly how to thread it. We have some little suggestions here, again, little pictures of what the thread should look like when it's in the proper guides here. This looper cover, when I remove my bonus extension table, this cover opens as well. So when we go to thread the serger, we've got full access to it. We've got full access when we're ready to clean the serger. Then yes, we will get little bits coming off here and there. You've seen I'm already using this serger. I love it. So then yes, we've got full access here. And then when we come to adjust our serger, for example, when we want to switch to a rolled hem, again, full instructions in your manual, simply push this, and click, and then we're into our rolled hem. The usual setting is an S for standard, and then we've got an R here that says rolled hem. And again, full instructions in your manual, but again, how simple that is to adjust. Now I'll switch this back. And then again, our knife, ooh, here you can see our knife blade. Again, we have two knives. One is down here, this lower knife, and it can be adjusted by the knob over here. So now my lower knife, I can make it a deeper seam, or I can retract it. As I'm turning this knob here, I can retract it so it's a more narrow seam. So we can adjust it that way. This knob here is the upper knife. So normally when we're doing regular serging, we want that upper knife engaged because we want to trim off the little wispies and the raw edges. Oh, Evelyn, you're late. Then that's quite okay. Better late than never, as we say. So that's wonderful. And again, for anyone who does join late, that's the wonderful thing. When technology works for me correctly, I'm able to load this on the IGTV icon of the Janome HQ Instagram page. So you can always go back to review if you join in late or can't stay for the whole presentation. And again, I load these on the Janome HQ YouTube channel, where again, they're going to be tall and skinny, but at least they're there. So that's good. So yes, this upper knife here, again, normally we want it engaged, but there are times if you don't want to trim off any of your fabric. Again, you can always do that. So again, how simple is that? So again, the manual fully goes into all the adjustments. And as well, speaking of Janome HQ YouTube, I have a playlist called the Janome Serger School. And I have several videos that I've done about adjusting your serger for a rolled hem, how to get a narrow rolled hem, different threads you can use for your serger. Those were some Janome America Facebook lives that I had done. So they're all there. Now, other presentations in Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour, I did, like, for example, the FA4 free arm serger. I did the AT2000D air thread serger. So even though you may not have that machine and you're looking at this gorgeous one, this 793 PG, but perhaps still go back and review those presentations, because I always try to give you a little tips and tricks on using your serger that really won't matter which model it is. So it's always good for a review. Now, coming included with your machine, the big screwdriver and the little screwdriver, which you will adjust with your needles here. Again, we've got a right needle and left needle. There is a little pack of needles that come included, so that's great. Speaking of needles, there's this very handy sticker right here to tell you use HA1SP needle, size 11 and 14. So you don't need to think and don't need to worry, what needles do I use? You simply go to your dealer and say, I need these needles for my serger. Done. You know, so simple. But again, you've got extra here just in case to get you started. And of course, oh, the tweezers. Yes, when we talk about is it easy to thread, these tweezers are invaluable for threading. Now, something that will make your threading more convenient, though, available in a separate blister pack from your Janome dealer, is this needle threader. There is this little guard. Will you be able to see? Oh, yes, you can see that big wire there. So as you're using the needle threader, and there's full instructions on the blister pack, but when you're using this needle threader, that little wire is exposed and that'll push the thread through the eye of the needle. So it definitely makes it easier to thread that way. And in fact, this little part here will hold the needle. If you're, switching it out, you're taking one of the needles out. This is to hold your needle, and then this part is to actually thread it. So it's a cute little device. It's not that expensive. Again, available from your Janome dealer. And isn't it cool? Again, Janome thinks of everything. In your looper cover here, there's even a spot to keep it in place. So isn't that wonderful? Again, this is an optional accessory, but it will just clip in there so you never have to lose it. So again, Janome is always thinking. So that's wonderful. So yes, let's get into some fabulous serging. So here is our 4-thread serger. Wonderful. But yes, when we're going to be serging knits, again, and we need that stretch. We need to keep that stretch. So the serger is perfect for it. So again, you decide, there's marks here on your looper cover on where you want your seam allowance. So again, most of our garment patterns are 5/8 of an inch. So if you're a garment sewer, I've got my fabric lined up with that 5/8 of an inch line. So I'm trimming off my extra seam allowance. So that's great, and it goes into my bonus chip cover here. So how beautiful is that? We've got a handy side thread cutter off to the side of the machine, and boom, there is my beautiful serged 4-thread serged seam. So as I open up my fabric, you know, you don't even see it really. If I really tug on it, okay, yeah, you see my thread, but still, again, and I've got that built-in stretch. So any kind of knits, again, any kind of dancewear, loungewear, sleepwear, you know, costumes, anything, like how perfect is that? Now, as a little tip, when I do my serging, I like to use these clips, so then I don't have to worry about running over anything. We certainly don't want to use pins around our knife blade. So that's why I like to use these clips, because then as I'm doing my serging, then I can easily remove these clips. I'm not going to run over them by mistake. They help keep everything intact. And at the very bottom of my seam, I like to put a little clip this way to, again, make sure that my edges here line up. So how simple is that? And again, we've got the adjustment here at the side of the machine, so we can adjust our stitch length. Now, if we happen to see, oh, this knit is stretching a little bit out of shape, then we would turn the differential feed knob here to accommodate for that. And there's been several posts on our Janome Life blog all about adjusting the differential feed, both for your serger and your cover hem machine. So you can go back there to review. But yes, if you are going to use pins, how about pinning this way? You know, when I first started sewing like 30 years ago, I would pin this way, of course, and my sewing teacher said, oh no, you must not use pins near a serger. And we didn't always listen, and then we found out why. One, you can certainly dull your knife blade, but also one of the students in class, the knife blade severed the pin. The pin went flying, ricocheting. Luckily, nobody was too injured, but still, it's very dangerous. So instead, I like to pin like this. So I'm well far away from that knife blade, so I don't have to worry. So there's always little tips and tricks to get you started. So there, as I've got, ooh, this is nice, thick velour. But yes, I'm going to remove my pins, or really, I don't even really need to remove them, because again, the edge of the pin is nowhere near my knife blade, but I also don't want to hit my needle with that pin either. So I do remove them as I get close. So then there, away we go. Again, ooh, how beautiful is that? I got a little tuck there, but again, and I still have that built-in stretch. So how perfect is that? So again, so good. Now we can also use our serger with, those are knits. So then how about we use our serger for cotton fabric here. I'm going to do some piecing, you know, because I've actually constructed quilts on a serger. So super simple. Again, if they're just straight lines, why not? So feeding one right after another. And then I'm just going to flip over. So there's my beautiful seam. And again, all those little edges, those little wispies that'll get in the way, you know, they're all gone. I like to nest my seams like that. They're kissing, my seam allowances there, you know, kissing in opposite directions. And again, all these little wispies are going to be gone because I've got that knife blade engaged. So it just makes your quilt top neater, and then you don't have to worry about, you know, that stray thread being caught under. So again, how cool is that? So beautiful. And boom, nice, accurate 4-patch right in the middle. press your seams, nobody would know that was seamed on a serger. So, you know, why not? It is so simple. So many things you can do. Now, of course, you can also finish your seam allowances too. You don't have to use your serger just for seaming, but you know, you can finish your seam allowances, sew it on a traditional machine as I had done here. This is sewn with the traditional 5/8 inch, and then I would go and remove my left needle actually, and then I would use my 3 thread to do that. So very simple to cut your threads. I'll use our fabulous mini duckling scissors, and I'm just going to trim my left needle thread, take my little included screwdriver here, and when I take this needle out, once I get the screwdriver in the correct position, there, then again I would put it in my Janome needle threader so I don't lose it. So another good thing for that. But then yes, I'm going to go back in and tighten up this screw, because I have had it where the vibration of the machine, again at such a high speed, that little screw can fall out. So it's always good to go back in and tighten it up. So then yes, I can go back in, and now and then, ooh, yes, now I can go, and there. So then that has finished off the edge of my seam allowances. So you can use your serger in so many different ways, not only just for, again, seaming, or not just, traditionally it was just to finish the raw edge of the seam allowances. But again, there's so many more things you can do with it. So go back to review those other serger presentations I did on the IGTV icon of Janome HQ Instagram, or the Janome HQ YouTube channel, so you can get more from your serger. One last thing I will mention, because I always love to mention it too, when you are, more of our fabulous serger thread here, for your serger pedal or your sewing machine pedal, I love this so comfortable no slip foot pedal pad, which looks like this. Again, it's a nice rubbery, grippy surface, so on both sides, so it'll grip your floor and it will grip your foot pedal, so you never have to worry about the foot pedal going away from you as you're sewing. So it definitely makes things much, much easier. So yes, that in a whirlwind nutshell is your fabulous, let me remove that cover so we can see the beautiful anniversary 793 PG, which is pink gold anniversary edition serger, again with your bonus of your extension table and your fabulous chip catcher. Like, isn't that cute? And again, for more information, go check out the janome.ca website, and look forward to seeing more of this machine on the Janome Life blog. Looks like a nice machine. It is. It not only looks beautiful, but as you see, it sews beautifully. So simple, so easy to do. So as always, contact your fabulous Janome dealer. So let me spin this around. Oh yes, thank you so much everyone for joining me. Oh, the time just goes by so fast. I would love to spend more time with you all. So you'll just have to come back and join me again for another Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour next week. And what machine will it be? Oh, I don't know. It's a mystery. So do tune back to join in. So thank you everyone for joining me today, and have a fabulous day. Thank you. Bye.